Today on Giraffe Talk, we're going to discuss the government reopening and the implications of it. We're going to discuss the economy. We're going to discuss foreign affairs. We're going to discuss how Jared Leto is still getting leading roles in Hollywood films.
What topics are in the news?
Breaking news. Suspect is still on the run.
The victim remains in critical
We will explain how it affects you. Expert sources indicate
The reports still remain unconfirmed.
They're calling it Kino.
Yes. So the government shutdown is finally ending. People are getting their benefits back. The federal employees are going to get paid. And I just gotta ask, what was the fucking point? The Democrats kinda caved. They didn't actually negotiate any of the terms. And most of the Democrats that did cave are ones that aren't up for re-election, and John Fetterman, who's insane. So why would you do such damage to the American people? Why would you do such harm to federal employees when you got nothing out of it? You should have just signed up on day one of the shutdown. Democrats have finally reached 218 signatures. The Epstein files are going to be released. Donald Trump said he's going to launch an investigation regarding the Epstein files, see who's all implicated, which means that they won't be able to be released after all. So if it really is just Bill Clinton that's involved with Epstein, why is Trump trying to defend him so bad? Well, one email between Jeff Epstein and his brother may provide some answers. There's this audacious claim that there's videos of Donald Trump sucking off Bubba, and Vladimir Putin may have pictures of this event. So although it does confirm that Donald Trump truly is the throat goat, we gotta wonder who is Bubba. Most speculation points towards Bill Clinton. Wow. 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 Trump has held an emergency meeting, and he has before stated this is a direct attack on the executive branch, in particular the president. Realistically, we're never actually going to get the answer. Now, Megyn Kelly has stated that at least the victims were over the age of 15, or at least they were over the age of 10, or at least they weren't babies. So it's not that big of a deal if somebody was raping children on Epstein's Island. Now this is a mother of a 16-year-old boy, a 14-year-old girl, and a 12-year-old boy. What would compel her to say this? What did she mean when she said this? I don't know, but it creeps me out. GOP, after declaring that the ICE can now deport citizens, which is actually called exiling, has now increased operations in North Carolina, Hawaii. They're going harder in Chicago. Stephen Miller has declared that ICE can operate outside of federal law. Kinda scary. I think we all want secure borders, but at what cost? Are they really even only going after illegal immigrants? I guess we could just hope that our federal agents really are just working for American people and going after illegal immigrants, going after the drug cartels, going after human trafficking. So the current leader of Syria, who is a former Al-Qaeda member, Ahmad al-Shara, has met with President Trump. He got some backlash for this. People saying we don't negotiate with terrorists, which is a misconception. The United States has always negotiated with terrorists. Are 50-year house mortgages on the horizon? Are we going to be paying for our cars for 15 years? Donald Trump says, maybe. He says this will help younger people own homes. Although, if the interest rates, they're paying twice the amount that the house is worth. But I feel like this is just more of a trend to make people not be able to own anything. We don't own physical media, we just use streaming. You only own your video games until they're delisted and they take down the servers. We're stuck renting, we're stuck paying mortgage. Some of the features of your car only work as long as you pay a subscription fee. Kind of depressing, but I can't say that Donald Trump and the current administration is at fault. This has been going on for at least 15-20 years. Republicans are pushing to deport Zohran Mamdani. They're trying to find ways to delegitimize his campaign. Some Democrats are on board as well. They say have somebody who may be a communist in New York City is very dangerous, and it threatens the very fabric of America. And we may have to destroy the electoral process just to prevent this from happening. But then again, Zohran Mamdani is really a threat to New York City and the businesses run to Republican states. They revitalized the economies of Texas and Florida and showed that the Democrats are foolish for trusting Zohran. Would it not be kind of a good thing just to let it run its course? Ukraine says that Russia is prepping for a massive assault. Are they going into Europe? Is Ukraine just trying to get more funding? Pete Hegseth has announced Operation Southern Spirit. It's going to be a massive military campaign to stop drugs from coming into America. Now you may think this is just going to target Venezuela, but Pete Hegseth has said it's getting the entire southern hemisphere. And our most important topic of today, the life of Jared Leto, his acting career, his music career, and how it affects regular people like you and I.
The analysis of Jared Leto.
The main topic of today is Jared Leto. Jared Leto is known for being the frontman of alternative rock band 30 Seconds to Mars, which produces these cinematic concept albums. He's also known for utilizing method acting to immerse himself in the roles and giving us these solid, powerful performances. He might be a little bit cringy at times, but it's a part of his eccentric persona. So we're going to look at his early life, we're going to look at his acting career, we're going to look at his music career, and see why the public's perception of him has soured. And then we're going to look into why he keeps getting cast in lead roles and why he keeps fucking him up. You're watching Giraffe Talk.
Jared Leto's early life.
So let's take it back to Jared Leto's childhood. Let's see what can generate a person such as him. Jared Leto was born on December 26 of 1971. His parents were soon divorced. His dad would remarry, have 2 more children, and then fucking kill himself when Jared was only age 6. He remained in the custody of his mother, along with his brother, Shannon Leto, who would join him in creating 30 Seconds to Mars in the future. Their mother was immersed into the world of magical hippie bullshit, and they lived with their grandparents. Their grandfather was in the military, so they moved around a lot. In the 10th grade, Jared Leto would drop out of school, but he would eventually re-enroll in Emerson Preparatory School. He would go to the University of Arts in Philadelphia, then would transfer to the School of Visual Arts in New York City. He would also fuck around in the Corcoran School of Arts and Design. You're watching Giraffe TV.
Jared Leto's acting career.
His first role was a recurring character in the TV show My So-Called Life. It was a teen drama comedy series. Although he was supposed to be a one-shot character, he won over to production and the crew. His breakout film role was in the movie How to Make an American Quilt. But the one that solidified his reputation for his acting prowess was sports biopic Prefontaine. That was a sports biopic about the long-distance runner. He highly immersed himself in the role and became known for his method acting. His reputation would grow with his roles in Fight Club, where he got his fucking face punched in, American Psycho, where he got an accident set from Patrick Bateman, Girl Interrupted, and Thin Red Line. But in my opinion, his best performance was in Requiem for a Dream. It was a film about a group of drug addicts who slowly deteriorate their own goddamn lives. In 1999, he would start dating Karen Diaz. They were engaged in the year 2000, and then 3 years later they break up. He would then be cast in the movies Lord of War, Chapter 27, Alexander, and Mr. Nobody. In The Little Things, he would get nominated by the Golden Globe and the Screen Actors Guild. But the Dallas Buyers Club is where he would really strike gold. He played a transgender woman who was diagnosed with AIDS. He got an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor, and the Actors Guild would bestow him with outstanding performance by a male actor in a supporting role. The House of Gucci would also give him a nomination from Satellite, Critics' Movie Choice, and the Screen Actors Guild. In 2007, he renounced ingesting any alcohol, any drugs. You're watching Giraffe TV.
30 Seconds to Mars.
Ah yes, 30 Seconds to Mars. Beloved alternative rock band. The public loves them, they were adored by critics, worldwide recognition. What else is there to say? Now honestly, I don't know much about his music career. I've heard the hits, of course, and people have warned me that the latter half of the career is very hard to listen to. They changed the sound entirely, they watered it down, and from what I hear, it's only going to get worse. So, it's maybe the most dangerous thing I've ever done. But I'm brave. So I'm going to go through each album and give a quick little analysis of it. At first, Jared Leto tried to keep the band's career separate from his acting career. Tried to let the music stand upon its own merits. But eventually, it was unavoidable that they became intertwined. In 2002, they released their self-titled debut. It was more alternative, hard rock, elements of space rock, prog rock, and a little bit of metal. Not so much in the riffs and the solos, but more of the vibe, more of the act. Overall, inoffensive album. It's alright, I don't hate it. But 2005 will see the release of A Beautiful Lie. That's pretty much the breakout album. It was more of an alternative hard rock album, kind of periphery to the emo and post-hardcore world. It's much more dramatic and focused on choruses that they knew people were going to sing along to. And this was coupled with high-concept videos. You can definitely see this era of 30 Seconds to Mars fitting in with The Used and My Chemical Romance. 2009 would see the release of This Is War. It's much more electronic, optimistic, melodic, and experimental. Kind of fit more within the world of alternative and indie music, post-hardcore or metal, or it fit more into the realm of indie and alternative rock rather than post-hardcore or metal or progressive rock. Of course, it's more reminiscence of arena rock, and it's much more cinematic, much more dynamic. You can tell these songs are meant to be played in an arena. They have much more influence. It sounds like they have much more influence from The Killers, U2, and the popular side of Muse. A slight 70s progressive rock like Pink Floyd and The Who. A lot more whispery vocals as well. And you can tell this band was being backed by a major studio. There's still some displays of musicality, an entire choir is singing the chorus. Once again, this album is alright, but you can tell they were headed to more of a poppy direction. More of a mainstream radio rock direction. 2013, they would release Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams. This is one of the more polarizing albums, a massive change in the sound. It created a whole entire race war within the 30 Seconds to Mars community. There's some that would support the band no matter what, but others, they wanted more of an emo, post-hardcore sound. They had more influences from U2 and The Killers. It's a poppy, experimental art rock album with much more influences from U2 and The Killers. There's still some riffs to be found, but it focused much more on electronic instruments and using massive choruses. At this point of their career, I think it's important to realize that 30 Seconds to Mars wasn't ever supposed to be like an emo band. It's just supposed to make edgy, angsty, alternative music. This kind of follows the trend at the time, where a lot of emo bands changed the sound more of an alternative or indie sound, or they put more electronic influences in it, or they put a lot of more electronic influences in there, like EDM or dubstep. The band would also utilize some slight classical influences. This would also see the band using some bits of classical or orchestral music. And every other song seemed to be an epic power ballad, and overall it kind of became pretty fucking funny. But the worst part and the most dated part of this album is the overuse of the millennial vocal melodies. You know, like every other folk indie band had at the time, every other pop song had. At this point of their career, I think it became hard to call 30 Seconds to Mars a alternative group anymore. They're definitely going for a mainstream sound. And honestly, it was kind of hard to get through the whole thing. 2018 we see the release of their album America. It was an artsy electronic rock album, and you can tell they definitely jumped on the EDM and trap bandwagon. They had a song with Halsey in there. They had a song with A$AP Rocky, which honestly featured one of their most impressive guitar solos. They definitely came off as much more Imagine Dragons, much more Maroon 5. The album really bored the shit out of me, and I feel like I was gonna die listening to it, and not in a cool way. It made me sleepy. Almost shut me down. I thought I was gonna have to call out of work. The acoustic song Remedy was kind of a breath of fresh air. Finally, there's some kind of guitar-based music. But I think the departure of the guitar is because Tomo, the guitarist, fucking left. And once again, it was much more the wordless millennial vocal melodies. I can't say I'm a fan of this album. I can see why a lot of fan base turned against them. I can see why their opinions started to sour. Finally, in 2023, they released the album It's the End of the World, But It's a Beautiful Day. This is essentially an electronic pop album with some influences of trap or funk music. A lot of the songs sound like Imagine Dragons. The rest sounded like Post Malone. This was made during quarantine, and maybe that's the reason behind the simplistic songs. There's also virtually no rock in it at all. Very studio, very TikTok, very inspirational video vibes throughout the whole thing. Me personally, I don't necessarily like music that motivates me. I want it to leave me unmotivated afterwards. Worst part is the vocals are pretty weak. If there's anything I could credit 30 Seconds to Mars with, is that Jared Leto was a very powerful singer, and it's barely on display this entire album. It's more that millennial vocal melodies. It's more that wordless millennial vocal melodies. Overall, I can only really give credit to the song Avalanche. It sounded pretty solid after listening to an album that almost killed me from boredom. Similar to Jared Leto's acting career, I can see the last few releases that the fan base is kind of losing faith in him. The public opinion is starting to kind of change, kind of sour on him. You're watching a Giraffe production.
Jared Leto's philanthropic work.
Jared Leto is also known for his philanthropic work. In his political views, he was pro-Obama and pro-LGBT rights. 32nd to Mars, his fan base, the Echelon, has helped out the Habitat for Humanity, supported a child medical art of Elysium, supported the Barbara Davis Center for Childhood Diabetes, donated to Nature Conservancy, donated to the AIDS Still Required Disaster Relief, the JP Haitian Relief Organization, and is a global ambassador for the Worldwide Fund for Nature. So he had a reputation for caring for disadvantaged people, for supporting the rights of minorities, for helping to protect nature. You're watching Giraffe Talk.
What the nut is wrong with Jared Leto?
So what happened for him to fall from the public's grace? He had all this critical acclaim, this public support, this good PR image. Where did it go wrong? Where did he fuck up? I think a lot of it deals with him acting in speculative fiction roles. Sure, Blade Runner, he seemed kinda off, but it fit the character. But with him playing the Joker, the DCEU, especially Suicide Squad, kinda turned people's opinion against him. Especially since he was following the footsteps of Heath Ledger. How do you compete against that? Then with his backstage antics, the pranks, the sending used condoms, anal beads and rats to his co-stars, kinda made him seem like a weirdo. Made people question the validity of method acting. Then there was Morbius. I don't know how that went because I didn't fucking watch it, but the movie flopped. Then it gained some traction due to memes. They re-released the movie and then it flopped again. And of course, Tron Ares underperformed as well. I think part of it is that it wasn't a direct sequel to the prior film, Tron Legacy. But I think some of these flops have more to do with the writing and the weird decisions by producers and film companies. There's also some strange allegations surrounding Jared Leto that he may have been messaging underage fans. Airmail has reported that 9 different women have came forward with stories about Jared Leto engaging in sexual misconduct. But we have seen how creepy he acts with female interviewers. We have heard him say that he'll have sex with fans. So maybe there is some truth to these allegations. We cannot really damn Jared Leto yet. There's no court proceedings, there's no solid evidence. However, James Gunn and Dylan Spruce suggesting that Jared Leto talks to underage fans. Now later on, James Gunn will recant these statements and delete the tweets saying he was just on Ambien. And finally, there's the infamous video of him berating a fan for sitting down during the performance. I get what he was doing. He's trying to hype up the audience, get everyone involved, but it is kind of bully-like behavior to single out a guy. Like, what if he had a fucking disability? What if he just worked all goddamn day and was tired? Or maybe his girlfriend dragged him along and he wasn't really impressed. You're watching Giraffe TV.
How the nut does Jared Leto keep getting casted?
So now how does Jared Leto keep getting these roles? After all these mentioned flops, he still got casted as Skeletor in He-Man. He's still being casted in Avengers Secret War. Is this going to be disastrous? I hope not. Well, maybe Jared Leto has some blackmail on the producers, and they can't afford to not cast him. We've already known about the creepy underdealings of the entertainment industry. We've all been witness to the Me Too movement, and it turned out one of the founders was also a sexual predator. So I think we've all been kind of black-pilled. We know there's something diabolical going on in Hollywood, and maybe Jared Leto is leveraging that. Now what's my evidence? Came to me in a dream. As far as I can tell, there's nothing there. Now, there's allegations that his Echelon fandom is actually a cult. They've toyed with the idea, having merchandise that says this is not a cult, or we are a cult. Sometimes Jared Leto, in a tongue-in-cheek manner, calls himself the Prophet. He also has the look of a cult leader, but he's probably just doing a rock and roll thing, to be honest. Then there's the little camps he has in the islands where he rents out in Croatia. People wear all white, they're mostly a female audience. Seems kind of creepy, rubs people the wrong way. What if he's using the cult members of his, the female fans, in a honeypot operation? He gets compromising photos and evidence of producers, and then forces them to cast him in the roles. Now what's my evidence of this? I made it all the fuck up. Perhaps it's a name recognition thing. People know the name Jared Leto, whether it's from music or from acting. And maybe producers feel like there's enough draw to cast him in the film, and the tickets will sell themselves. I don't know. This is Giraffe Productions.
The real reason.
But I still don't know why they're giving him lead roles. From all of the information I've poured over, seems like he just might be that good. This is an award-winning actor. He's a solid, immersive, and versatile actor with a distinctive look and a dedicated fan base. He's willing to work with production due to press releases. He wants to do the interviews. And who else are you going to cast as an eccentric male lead character now that Johnny Depp has kind of shot the bed and pissed away his entire goddamn career. I feel like most of the hate just comes from the internet. The memes have changed the public's narrative on Jared Leto. He did have 2 flops in major franchises, Morbius and The Suicide Squad. But wasn't that more the fault of production, the directors, and the scriptwriters? And with Tron Arias, he was one of the producers. How can you tell the producer that he's not going to act in his movie? So Jared Leto's reputation has taken a hit, but who knows? Maybe he can come back from this. And hopefully, the allegations hold no weight, and he wasn't doing all that diabolical, sinister ass shit.